Hey everyone, welcome to Spiritual Journey. My name is Colleen Jorgensen. And really, wow, it's been a little bit of a wild ride out there that's been going on. We have the wildfires down in California. We have recoveries going on in Jasper, Alberta, and also in North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, down in those areas as well. And we have these big swings of emotion when things like that are going on. Also, TikTok was going black. A lot of people were really stressed out uh, with that in the United States. So, big swings, it's going black and then it's back up again. We have a lot going on in the United States. With the new president taking office yesterday, uh, and it really ties in with a lot of energy that is emerging as Pluto has sunk itself into the futuristic sign of Aquarius. So this video is really about Aquarius. It's really about some of the shifts and the sudden changes that are happening, like that TikTok. It's on, it's off. We're going to do this. No, we're not going to do this. So there's a lot of energy that is kind of moving back and forth. And the question mark of what is it that we want, actually? Or do any of us really know what it is that we want? Or are we all kind of stabbing in the dark? So we have the third of six new moons happening on January 29th at 9 degrees Aquarius, 51 minutes. It happens at 5:36 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so that would be 6:36 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 4:36 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this is a new moon energy, and it ushers in the Chinese New Year as well. So we go through several New Year's energy as we head into March. And because I'm an astrologer, I don't really believe the new year starts until March 21st, 22nd, with the spring equinox. But the Chinese believe that the new year begins now with the first new moon in January. And this year, we are ushering in the snake energy. And specifically, it is the wood snake, or what is known as the green snake. So the green is about the earth, and it's about growth, and it's about advancement in many ways of renewal. And the snake, of course, symbolizes that transformation, that shedding of the skin, and also the renewal energy that is emerging. The last time we've had a wood snake was in 1965. So if you think back to what was going on in 1965, a lot of protests for equality, equal rights, still emerging during those years. And of course, the protests with Vietnam and war. So this is really about shedding some old skin and renewing ourselves in a pretty significant way. Uh, it's really about flexibility and strength and new beginnings as well. But it's the snake is also known to be rather strategic, kind of cunning and sly in many ways. So you're going to have to be a little conscientious of how we're interacting during the year of the snake. So please look up some Chinese websites if you're looking for your own animal sign and how the year of the snake is going to impact you as we come out of the year of the dragon. In addition to this snake, we have this energy with this new moon of Aquarius. And Aquarius also is a sign of the future, of innovation, changes that happen really rather suddenly. And it really signals something different is about to happen. And so 2025 can really be one of those years where there's a lot of things that are shifting as we try and bridge the gap between old and new and how that unfolds itself and how we recover from it. So, the important lesson in this new moon is not to get stuck. Don't get stuck. Keep moving, keep changing, keeps transforming, keep doing something a little bit different. So the new moon always plants those seeds. So it doesn't mean it's really going to emerge right away on this January 29th. But it's the gestation period where seeds are planted, and there's a lot of high potential here and a lot of innovation and technological advances that are about to take place. So, Aquarius is really connected to the higher consciousness. And many of you have been listening to many astrologers, and they're talking about this enlightenment, this awareness that perhaps we're being downloaded with higher information from another source, and that we're seeing things in a new light. And most likely that all of the above is happening to a great deal, that humanity is now advancing out of the victimization and savior mentality of the era of Pisces and emerging into this really advanced, fast energy of Aquarius. So it's producing solutions and stepping out of our traditional ways that we've seen with Pluto in Capricorn and that stranglehold we could have felt coming from those individuals in positions of authority or leadership. And now we want to step and go beyond those limitations. We want to see a vision for the future of possibilities that we never maybe seen before, or we couldn't see them because they were blocked somehow in our direction in life. Like, you just put your feet on the floor, you got up, did what you had to do, drove to work, came home and paid your bills and attended to this. But now we're seeing bigger possibilities. Humanity is about to break through into a whole new visionary way of viewing their world. And it's interesting because this moon could really trigger some of this uh, advancement in the way we think, because Aquarius is a different way of thinking. There's kind of a nervousness to this, an apprehension of what does that look like? I can't see myself there. I can't visualize what that would look like. And so that in some ways can produce some fear of the unknown. Yet this new moon could really trigger some new projects to come on board that are breakthroughs in the sciences, in space travel, in technologies, robotics, computers, electricity, batteries, even for battery run cars, aviation advances as well, new technologies all the way around the board, even with advancements in genetics. So it's really novel, it's unusual, and it's just a little bit different than what we're used to. So there's these new waves, and they're really waves of ideology possibilities. And they're really based around this global community of connecting us together. And it's fast. It's very fast pace and fast energy. So there's kind of like these group connections and associations, whether it's done through the web or whether it's done through other modes of communication, because Uranus is very much about communication as well. It's the higher octave of Mercury, thinking beyond or pulling ourselves out of the box. And that's what creates inventions, that somebody sees it in a different light or sees it being able to be done differently. We could even create different worlds through technologies that we can go to and become a part of, which is a really strange concept. Um, and especially now with Saturn in Pisces, some of those things could be developed because some of us are really looking for an escape into something different than what we're experiencing. So Aquarius is very much into aligning us with new trends, but being present in radicalization, unusual circumstances or situations that we're dealing with. It's also about what is the best for all of us in general and not just the singular person. It's very much about the environment and globalization concerns, and especially related to the air and the quality of the air, because we're in the air element. So there's these sudden shifts of energy that come about, and it really sends us on a new trajectory and with a new grasp of what it is that we really want. It's like a dawning of perception in many ways. If you can visualize it, you can create it, sort of is what I see Aquarius as. So we are planting these seeds, and sometimes we plant new seeds because we're really disconnected or we're really discontented with what is happening in our world and how we're fitting into that world. So this produces those breakthroughs, and a real push energy to change something, to be different. And that's really what sets many uh, people who are on TikTok out of the box. People are attracted to them because they're saying something different. They're doing something different. They're acting in a different way. And that draws people to them, especially now. And so young, youthful energy is really apparent with this Aquarius energy, but with the edge of wisdom and the edge of experience behind it. And that is why so often it is experience that we're working with something and then we realize that we really could be doing it a different way, in a better way. So, if you think about the huge advancements made in machinery, aviation over the last 100 years, you kind of get a grasp on how fast paced this can really move. But always sometimes it can be in the midst of some sort of crisis that happens or a sudden shift that pushes it in that direction. So Aquarius always reminds me of this segregation or separation, just like back in 1965 when some people were in separation and segregation apart from, and the battle to unite those two into a solidified unit of cooperation. So we're kind of in this same playing field here. It's interesting because 9 degrees of Aquarius really represents presidential ex execution. So it's interesting that we have a new president and he's doing executive orders on the day of his new administration. And so that seems to be sort of a prominent energy that is emerging. The old kind of mixed in with this new energy. And will it last? And what will it produce? So Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which right now is still. It is ready to station direct on the 23rd degree on January 31st. So just days after this new moon. That gives Uranus more power. It gives it more acknowledgement, and its influence is greater onto the platform of the energies that we're feeling. And it's going to be at 23 degrees until March 13th. It's really close to Algol, and Algol is that really nasty fixed star of Medusa, and of course she got her head chopped off. And so, heads could roll here when Uranus hits exact on Algol again. And it's really challenging us to fight some sort of a demon that mm, does it exist or doesn't it exist? And they really need to cut somebody off at their knees or cut somebody out. That kind of is presenting itself here. So aside from Uranus's dysfunction in Taurus, because it's sitting in Taurus, it's really unusual. Uranus is a very unusual energy. It spins sideways as it's rotating around the sun. But overall, right now, it is producing supportive energy because it's trying to Pallas Athene. And Pallas Athene is the goddess of creative ventures and learning, and learning especially from our mistakes. She's very strategic and she's very knowledgeable. So we have this real energy of supportive people coming together with the funding and the ability to be creative and to learn from mistakes that were made in the past. So there's a strategy going on here. And because it's so close to the inauguration, I believe that the new president has a strategic plan in play, which could be really shocking to many of the rest of the world. The new and Uranus is about going your own way, doing your own thing, and just standing apart from everybody else. So the new moon is really energizing this futuristic and taking the risk of doing something that is really outside the box and really pushing the buttons in really unexpected ways. And it's going to have an impact on the president's term in office. So really pay close attention to that. The new moon is square to Vesta, the goddess of keeping the fires burning, that passion of who we are and our direction. So this is kind of producing a struggle within ourselves, and the light, is it worth it anymore that I continue on this path? And so there's kind of this need to control or be in control of things and maybe not really being in control, but with the vision that we're going to fight no matter what. We're going to maintain our stance and we're going to fight even in the face of defeat. So, this is kind of like a pulling back. Are you really going in the right direction? And where are your passions and your light? Are you really doing the right thing, or should you be sparking something different and seeing things in a different light? And so we're kind of wavering here and struggling with this. If it's not working, yes, many people have been successful by pushing through. And yet, is this the time to do that? That's the question that you have to ask yourself, because we are dawning into a new era and things are changing. Perception is shifting. The whole world is kind of turning upside down in many ways. The good news is this moon is a good moon because it is pushing us, it's challenging us to see something other than what we've seen, to wake up to our own realities. So the beautiful trine to Jupiter and Gemini is really realizing that we can expand our knowledge. There's this thirst for the truth. And so it's only our own mindset and our own verbal communication to ourselves that is limiting us from going on that new path. And so Jupiter, of course, is the laws and the courts and the lower educational system up to grade 12. It's also about the smaller community that you're in. So this is a real expansion of knowledge, an expansion of communication and our ability to say what we're feeling and what we're doing. Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury is sitting right beside Pluto. So that really makes a statement of power. It's a change of dialogue and conversation that is emerging, that when Mercury gets to 9 degrees on February 2nd, it's going to trigger this new moon. And we could really see sweeping shifts of conversation happening all at that time. Secrets are emerging, new mandates, new court doctrine, legislation is emerging. We have new mandates now, especially in the United States, but also arriving in Canada, because Canada is about to switch its leadership in the Liberal Party, and it's about to shift its government as well, whether that's with a new leader and the Liberal Party, or whether that's with a new party coming into power. So there's a lot of energy that's moving here, that people want fresh, they want new, and they want powerful control. They want somebody who knows what they're doing. And they want somebody to pull out the secrets and tell the truth. Just give me the truth. I can handle it. So there's a lot of creative intensity moving through around trade agreements, legal battles, communication, which is very intense and dramatic. There could be new investigations into expenditures and advances, and where's the money coming for the advanced technology. Big announcements here of who is stepping into power, who is in control of the whole thing, and the public opinion of whether we're going in the right direction, not just in the United States, but as a world community. So Saturn is the old ruler of Aquarius, and now it's in that elusive, intangible sign of Pisces. Saturn is making its last semi-square to Pluto on the 26th of January, just prior to this new moon emerging in the sky. And this has been going on for a little while now, since last May. And these two big planets are irritating each other. And as if something isn't quite right, that we can't put our finger on what it is, but something isn't jiving. Something doesn't make sense. Now, Pluto is newly in Aquarius. He has been opposing Mars, and he just made that last pass at the beginning of January, and he's going to make it at the end of April. And that's really kind of a fight for control, or who's in control. And the first one was in November, just prior to discovering who won the race, the presidential race. So it's a real battle, and it's very polarizing energy. And Aquarius, with Pluto and Aquarius, Aquarius is weird, or what we perceive as weird or strange. Saturn's very traditional, but Saturn says, now let's make sense of this strangeness and let's try and figure it out. Let's get to the bottom of it. But Aquarius is alien, and out of the norm, really. And so we can kind of feel right now with this energy that things are kind of wonky, and they are kind of wonky. And we could feel like we're kind of seized with this fear of the unknown. And we could also feel like we're victimized. And some of the victimization here would be surrounding aliens, immigration, or people who don't fit into the norm, like the LGBTQ community, and the integration into that, which could really spark some revolutionary tendencies and the fight for equality, inclusion, fairness. And it's a struggle that could push us also into the future, which is an ironic statement. There, in many ways, seems to be a lack of control, and yet a very firm hand of control verbally. And this semi-square is really producing that victim savior mentality. And Pluto is putting a lot of pressure down right now to conform. And alongside with Uranus, this new moon is extremely unpredictable. It's really revolutionary, innovative. It's revolting, rebellious against what is perceived as a threat of segregation or exclusion. So hopefully we all come together as a community with one vision and one perspective. But I highly doubt that in the way the world is kind of churning itself around like some big cauldron bubbling and boiling. And so it's going to be really interesting, don't you think? So sometimes you need to just step out of this energy and just have a look at it. Don't get involved in it for a moment. Do a little meditation, and see where it lands you. Do some guided meditation, perhaps, to see where you end up. And then you can kind of ground yourself into where your position is. If you remember a while back, I did a post on Saturn's first emergence into the sign of Pisces. And in that talk, which you can go back and look at, I said you really have to know where you stand in the next 2 years. You have to know what your position is and where you are in your location. You really have to look after your feet because of that concept of where do I stand in this situation? What are my thoughts? Because the feet are really connected to the mind as well. So, what are my thoughts? What do I think about that? And what is my position? So, we're just about through with Saturn in the sign of Pisces, and I hope you've done that to some degree if you follow me. And really take care through this new moon and really kind of figure out where you stand. We're moving out of victimization and savior mentality as well, and more into community and collective agreements and collectiveness. So I'm going to leave you with that, and you can follow me. Hope you do follow me at spiritualjourney.ca or Facebook at spiritualjourney.ca. And I will chat with you another time. Have a great day. Bye.